Here we go. So good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to another consciousness exploration with the EARTH Nouveau Hub. And today we are grateful to have Shawn here to give us a great, hi Shawn, to give us a great presentation. So Shawn's going to do the presentation about the DNA skin suit and everything, and then afterwards we have questions, or he can do the way he wants to play it. I'm just going to read for anyone who hasn't seen the bio that I've posted in the EARTH Nouveau Hub on Facebook. So Shawn, up until recently, Shawn has been engaged in living off the grid on a small island that is just off the coast of British Columbia in Canada, where he spent over 3 years developing new perspectives about the world, and more specifically about himself. So while there, he worked with his hands in the trades as a carpenter, and was also taking all other sorts of trade and day jobs until he ended up building his own small house of his off the grid. And that was the direction his life was going up until 2019, when he left the island for work and never ended going back. So he became inspired to return to school to get a new set of skills, and is now studying to become a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine in the city of Toronto. He finds the traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM, has opened up a new world for him that includes a broad new view of basic perspectives, as well as a great exciting shift in reality. Fantastic. So a little bit about Shawn here, and now over to you.
All right, excellent. Thanks for that nice intro right there.
You're welcome.
Really awesome to hear. So I got a presentation for everybody that I've been working on, just with some ideas percolating, because we were always told about the DNA skin suit manual that we didn't get at birth, so why don't we make one, is the way I
to do it.
think. So I'm just going to open this up right now, and bear with me for just a second. Just all right, how's that look for you guys?
I can see it.
Yep. I can see
good. I
it.
can see it.
Excellent. So this is operating the Human Skinsuit for Dummies, a 101. A 101. So let your understanding begin again. Here we go. Okay. So right, a skin suit for dummies. First things first. What even is a human skin suit? Begs the first question. What the hell am I talking about? Which will become more in-depthly known here as a human DNA light body instrument of experience. So why do I need to know this? And why is this even important? Like, why does this matter? Because there's a lot of us, and it's pretty amazing, because it's our human DNA light body instrument of experience, unique to us. And we're going to find out a little bit more later. So let's go to some basics, and we're going to build ourselves up and see what kind of insights everybody can gather. And then we'll share that. So a vehicle. What's a vehicle? So a car is a vehicle. That comes to mind, right? When you think of a vehicle, a car with its parts and pieces, transmission, radiator, steering wheel, oil. We all know what a car is. We see them every day. So a car is made up of many different parts that are all working and comprised together to make one working unit. So we physically go inside of cars to move around and drive. So we see them all the time. It's not hard for us to imagine driving a car as a vehicle, is it? Just comes to mind, right? Here's a little person. Look, he goes inside the car. That's his vehicle. right? Vehicle is man's car. Okay, so in he goes. He can go for a nice little Sunday drive, or now he can perform some of his schedule for the day on time. Awesome, right? It's a vehicle. So this is good for this group. So what about souls then? There really isn't that much to know about souls. Or is there? Time will question that we're all rooted to find out. So we can start to look at our own bodies right now. We're in bodies. Check it out. So we have a body. Amazing, isn't it? Full of biological magnificence. So isn't it amazing? So try to imagine the body like a type of technology, like a car, like a vehicle that's been created for a specific purpose, unique to us, and that it's not very different from a car or any other type of transportation. Okay, you guys with me on this so far? Let's go on. So let's see it as an avatar. We love the avatar, don't we? What is an avatar? Good question. What is an avatar? So an avatar can be seen as another body or a piece of technology that can be used or can be inhabited by a soul or by any form of consciousness, simply acting as a receptacle for that consciousness. So here's a way you can visualize what's happening. We've all seen one of these before, right? What do we got here? We got a remote control car. You've all played with one before, right? And you remember how wide-eyed you became when you got to crash it into a wall or smash it into something or drive it really good with your friends and family. So here we have these cars as a type of technology that's controlled.
Shawn, sorry to interrupt you. Sure, but can you please mute? Guys, just mute so that we're not getting all the noises. Yeah, thank you. Sorry about that.
No sweat. Back on track. We got avatars and we got remote control cars. So I hope we've all played with a remote control car before. And if you haven't, go play with a remote control car because it's a lot of fun and you'll enjoy it yourself. So we've seen it before and it can be controlled completely remotely. Wow. So we can see how something can move all by itself from seemingly far away. Okay, so let's move it up a notch. But what if we wanted to be the car, right? Okay. How would that even work? Be the car. What if we wanted to be the car? What the hell does that even mean? That we want to have the experience of being the car? Okay, whatever. So that moves us on to our next part of this informational sandwich. The very next crucial step in how we can understand how an avatar can work. And that would be our programming. All the lines of code that are programmed to make an experience work the way that it should, or how it should, or how we think it should. So let's look at programming. That stuff that's good, bad, and ugly, but we can't throw it out because it has intrinsical value. Okay, moving on to programming, everybody. Let's jump in and see why programming is important to us and the very nature of all of our experiences. I'm going to share a little bit. Have you ever seen this movie before? Anybody? It's called Freaky Friday. I watched it when I was like 10 and changed my life after I watched it. It was pretty funny and it's pretty fun. So it's almost like a coming of age film, but it's part of this special genre of film that's like sparked so many people's imaginations before. And so what makes this type of film unique is that these two people, they wake up in each other's bodies. One's a mom, one's a daughter, And in the morning, their bodies are switched. And it's like, what? And you can imagine the psychological thriller that involves when you wake up in someone else's body. And I love these movies. They changed my life. So that's one of these movies. Here's an example. Okay. So you wake up in someone else's body, right? Oh my gosh. What makes an experience like that even possible? What makes it even work? Let's think about it. Let's think about it right here. What makes even waking up in someone else's body a plausible experience? Okay. So everybody here, everybody, imagine yourself right now, wherever you are, driving, sitting, thinking, pondering. Imagine that you just woke up inside of another person's body that's not yours. It's the morning time. You wake up, you open your eyes, you start moving your feet around underneath the blankets. It's comfortable, but you start to smell the bed. You start to look around a little bit, and you don't really recognize your surroundings. You don't really recognize where you are. You start to wake up a little bit more, and you start to realize that you feel different. And then you're like, you look at your arm, you look at your hands, and you're like, what the fuck? Why is my hand so pretty? These aren't my nails. And then you realize that you're in a completely brand new body. You're like, well, holy shit. How would you even know how to use that body? You just woke up in something that's not yours. Okay, so let's have a little bit more fun. Now imagine that you woke up as the opposite sex. You open your pants and whoa, look at that. You got a brand new appendage. Boom. Okay, so you're having fun. You've been gawking at your new and exciting findings for the better of 20 minutes. You've been staring at yourself in the mirror. But okay, so now something happens. You got to go to the bathroom. Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Now what? You got to go to the bathroom. How's it going to work? How's it going to work? How are you going to go to the bathroom? You've never done this before. How are you even going to know how to use that thing that you got down there that you've been staring at in the mirror, having a blast until now? So this is where, thank the Lord, we have programming. Parts of our experience that are programmed into our skin suits. And here, the programming takes charge. And without even thinking, your biological emergency is over. You relieve yourself in a new way for the first time without a hitch. So to open up new intrinsic ways to think about our programming and why it's important and how it creates the baselines of any given experience. It's kind of like the status quo, per se. So now you can go to the bathroom. Okay? So let's shift gears a little bit. Cool, okay? So what have we done until now? We have our vehicles, right? Vehicles, cars. We have our avatars. We have our super valuable programming. The programming sets us up with the foundations of navigating an experience. So let's add light to the mixture. Light. We know what light is. We've talked about it. We've been born with light. We see the sun. We see the sun every day. So light's everywhere, right? It's everywhere. You can't miss it. It travels fast. It goes everywhere. It travels far distances. But let's try to add new perspectives to the old adages of the way that we perceive light. I think we can do this. Just new perspectives. Oops. Something's going on. Excuse me, but my slides came up funny in this page. So I know most people have heard the idea that anything that happened in any time or space is still there. Anything. That it never goes away. Everything that's there never goes away. I know I'm talking to the right crowd right now to get this. Every place in space holds all of our ancestors. It holds all of our loved ones. It holds all of the aspects of creation our beloved space does. It's been layered and layered and layered, one by one, or all at once over top of each other. So given in this experience, up pops new bubbles of realities, individual realities, unique unto themselves. So let's look even deeper at this. Let's think about this deeper through science and technological discoveries. And then let's give this idea shape and form. Let's build it up. And let's look at, I love these pictures. Let's look at a light exposure. Okay? Has anyone here seen light exposure pictures? Because they're fucking cool. They're really, really, really cool. So this is an example of a light exposure. Some street lights. So in light exposure, cameras capture light over a period of time. And all that light that is entered into the camera's perception becomes layered together and part of a single photo, or part of one single perception. I literally have this view right outside my window. After taking some time at a few light exposures and letting the idea sink in, I did what I always do. I look out my window. And so my desk faces the window. And right outside, I can see the streets. It's a busy street and many cars pass by. There's a black SUV sitting at some street lights right now. And the little orange hand is like saying, don't walk across the street. So that crosswalk caught my eye. I noticed how I see it every day. I see it during the day when it's bright, and I see it during the night when it's dark. So many cars go by. So many cars in every single day. And more cars go by one. So I started to imagine all these cars as a light exposure. Every car that has ever went by, their colors and lights are still there on that roadway. All the street light colors and the crosswalk colors are still there. Imagine this all in your mind. Think of a familiar road, walkway, any place near you, and imagine all that's walked on it, all that's driven on it, all that's happened on it. All those lights that were once there, they are still there, especially as you can carry on the perspective of what a light exposure is. Because we outmatch technology one infinity to one. They're all recorded as a light exposure. Just like that. Something like that, something like this. All the light is still right where it went by. It's never really gone. It's always there. So let's take it even further. Okay? Excuse me, how are we going to go even further than that? Let's think about the grid system. Let's take all the myth out of the grid system and the grid system. What the fuck is that, right? Well, we got the roads, we got the highways, we got the waterways, we got telephone lines. So it dawned on me on a long drive home from a visit to my family. And I was driving on one of the superhighways. So the 401 in Canada. So that I was on. So it was such a super informational highway. All these vehicles were all adding their color, their thoughts, their intentions, be it just singing in their car or thinking about their daily problems. They were all adding it to this light exposure. And you can see it like a mosaic of layered time. And I was part of it. And if you've ever been anywhere, you're a part of it too. So I got to throw in there. So just think clearly next time you want to become a hermit or you want to be off alone, distant from anything or anybody. Just remember what you're disconnecting yourself from the symphony of all the experiences in that time and space inside of that grid. Maybe you do need a break from the noise, but when you do, Take a moment to remember exactly what is all there in those spaces that you're leaving while you do. Okay? Build up higher. Then what? We got planes, trains, and automobiles. Right out of a book, right out of a story. Everything is in those grids and in fact, within all time and space. It's operating just like a hard drive, an informational drive. You guys, like, I'm a bit younger generation, so I know what these look like, and I hope everyone's seen one, but now you do. So here's a hard drive. And it's kind of just like a universe. See? There's the universe. We'll call that the sea of awareness out there. And here, on this little pin, is the moment of now within this giant sea of awareness that is encompassing all the data. It's within it all. It's at a single point of time, which we're going to call right now. This is a representation of how a point in time and space can work. But going back and looking at the informational highway of the grid, the planes, the trains, and the automobiles, it doesn't even come close to stopping right there. Because we can just micro, macro, we can take this any which way that we want to because we're infinite beings, right? Okay, so the planets as we know them are part of the grid system too, and its informational highway. The orbits of the planets as a light exposure record the light and become stacked and layered over top of each other. Every single piece of space that you can imagine has orbited and more than likely moved through the very space that you are sitting, standing, watching from right now. Give that a moment to sink in. Everything, it's been there, it's been recorded, it's part of time and space. So the fact is that everything that is, was, or will be is right on top of the moment that you're in right here now. Oh my God, right? Cool. I think it's pretty cool. So now what? Okay, we're gonna recapitulate everything. Fuck it. We're gonna compile everything together. So let's have a look at what we got. Vehicles. We got vehicles. We got avatars. We have remote experiencing. We have programming. We have light exposures. And you know what? Just give me a moment. For some reason, I can't see everybody. So I'm going to add you in. Okay, that's a bit better. We got vehicles, avatars. We have remote experiencing. We have programming. And we have light exposures. We got the grids, the roads, the planes, the planets, and their encompassing orbits. We got a hell of a grid structure built up. We got the most crazy infrastructure you could possibly dream of. So let's add another layer aspect to this buildup. And it's another important part to overlay. And now we're going to look at memories. Dum, 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 dum. So memories, how do they work? What are memories for? What do they do? And why are memories so critically important? Because memories are essential to the aspects of human existence. The question of how we encode memories that last a lifetime is a fundamental one. Okay, so are we remembering our own memories, right? Okay, so in our brains, our memories work kind of like a mosaic that is made up of all different types of sensory inputs. Each memory is made up of millions and billions and all parts of you. It's made up of sensory inputs like sight and smells. Each memory is made up of little bits of conversation. Each memory is built up of your feelings. It's built up of your emotions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Every sensory input you can think of is part of your memories. And when you think back on a treasured memory, it rarely, in fact, it doesn't ever feels like playing back a film. And that is because you remember certain aspects of your memories very distinctly. Meanwhile, other part of your memories can be a bit fuzzy or not altogether. Because each one of your memories consists of a real physical network inside of your brain that connects each one of those memories to your sensory inputs. The network of memories is there, and it's working hard, and it's working, and it's fluxing, and it's changing all the time. Sometimes our brains can make mistakes, or as a way that we know about it as, sometimes our body's programming, parasympathetic, sympathetic, ego, can take dominance of the perception of a memory and remember it the way that it wants to. A false memory can be formed with or without our awareness. And for all purposes, a false memory is completely indistinguishable from a real memory. Your memories are so much more than random facts and random figures. Memories are a record of your life. Memories are the sum total of everything that has happened to you in the past. And memories are affecting every decision that you're going to make in the future. You are your memories. That fully includes all of the things that never happened or how we think that they happened. So I'm going to give you guys an example of something called rosy retrospection. It's just a way of looking at memories, and it's kind of a phenomenon that happens. And I'm sure we've all been affected by it. So let's give this an example of how our memories can be manipulated by ourselves. And one of the ways is called rosy retrospection. Things look different. So rosy retrospection is characterized by our body's tendency to filter out any undesirable events from a past event, any elements. When you recall that event in the past, you remember all the good parts of it, like the laughing, the playing, the sunshine, the dancing, all the beautiful heart-filled memories. And you often omit the bad parts of that memory, like when you fell on your face, scraped your knee, or the rain wouldn't go away and it pissed you off to no end. Forget about it. We got rosy retrospection here, guys. And with rosy retrospection, the more time after an event has occurred, the more rosy and pleasant it becomes. As many bad aspects are filtered out, bad sensory inputs, let's get rid of them. Let's remember it the way that we want to dilute our reality with, in essence. Because why not? Because we can. So rosy retrospection, we can also have examples of negative memory traits, like remembering the good old days. You know, the good old days, or the way it was, or any time that someone said, back in my day, things were better, and they just toppled and piled on all these euphemisms to explain that their day was somehow more magical or magnificent than the moment of now. So this is when a person has become hyper aware of all the things that have happened in the past and ignoring all the more pleasant aspects. They're remembering all the good aspects of the past and ignoring all the unpleasant aspects of their own memories. Just taking a trip to the past, memory lane. So we can see this, how this gives us an understanding of how our memories are created and perceived over time. That it is our senses, right guys? Our senses, our feelings, and our emotions that literally recreate our memories. Our memories are not static, they're not set in stone. Our memories are real, and our memories are fluid. They generate themselves in the way that we perceive the world. Our memories are real and they are fluid. They generate themselves in the way that we perceive the world. Okay? dig it deeper. Let's keep moving on this one. So when we see the value in our memories and the way that we use them to perceive the world, it soon becomes paramount to reevaluate our memories throughout moments of time. So we can see the thoughts, the filters, and the ideas that are shaping our reality. We can see our delusions. We can see what we've entered, omitted. We can see we can just see how we shaped our memories. So in this process, if we choose, we can work to add as many senses as possible to our memories. Things that can bring them alive and reanimate these old memories with new life, vibrancy, and color. Then we can start to add brand new layers of senses from different degrees of awareness to our memories, such as new senses like non-judgment. So as we reshape our memories with these new senses, sensory inputs, smells, tastes, thoughts, feelings, emotions, non-judgment, we can actually begin to reshape the world in any way that we choose through our memories. And we can't be talking spiritual without talking about DNA, right? It's a fad word, but it's fad. It's like love. It's fad for a reason, because it's fucking amazing. We have our DNA and we have our blood that we can admire. And in this group, we know so far that our DNA and our blood contain an almost infinite amount of memories. Essentially, what memories are is that memories are experiences. Infinite upon infinite amounts of experiences that are programmed inside of our bodies, and that all we have to do is start realizing their potential and looking at them, remembering them, recapitulating them. Give them power from our belief engine to allow ourselves to give shape to our dreams. Because one by one, as we add new emotions and layers to our memories, we simultaneously create new neural pathways that give rise to new experiences altogether. From the totality of all our thoughts and sensory inputs, as long as we keep being evolving beings, they keep growing, they keep reshaping in whichever way our intent and our dreams desire. And just like that, with the power of our belief behind all of our actions, we can generate anything. Vast amounts of untold wonder inside of our lives. As DNA light body nations of one, where I dream the dream and the dream dreams back, awakening and activating our programmable skin suits in the way that we choose to awaken ourselves in the dream by following our intentions, our thoughts, our sensory inputs. So I hope that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it all. It was a lot of fun to put together. Lots of thoughts and ideas. And yeah, let's keep having a little bit of fun together.
Thank you. Thank you, Shawn. Thank you very much for that. Let's just maybe, oh, at the end, I love the kid.
Beautiful ending, right?
Oh, fantastic. Well, you put together a huge list of subject matters, actually, isn't it?
That's right.
It contained a lot of information, and I'm sure we can play with that with questions. I'm sure there are questions that have come up. Maybe, yeah, let's leave that out so we can see everyone here, and let's open it up for questions to Shawn.
Yeah, don't be shy. Any insights, inputs, like anything that stirred up within you? I got an aw shut crowd.
Oh, I can speak. Can you hear me, Martina?
Yes.
Lovely. Shawn, that was absolutely superb. And I'd say if anybody wanted, if this was put on YouTube, anyone who wanted to understand the holographic universe and how it works should watch your video and how our DNA skin suit operates within that. That was absolutely superb. I really thought that was brilliant. Thank you so much. The one thing that really interests me is I love the way you talk about wherever we've been or wherever our ancestors have been, we leave an energy imprint. Wherever light, photonic light has been, we leave an energy imprint, which is particularly of interest to me because I go to ancestral sites. And as you know, I do a lot of ancestral work. And when I go and visit my DNA lineage villages and places they've lived, Andrew said to me once, when I go, I close portals. And I wonder how that is related to what you've just talked about that their energy imprint is still there. So is their energy imprint a portal there? And if so, would you understand why I needed to close that portal? Because I've never pursued that question with him.
So what's coming to me really clearly right now is that, like, we go through the shaman's death, right? We hear about the shaman's death, and we recreate ourselves in a new day. And we're all karmic beings, or we have been. We're trying to get out of it. What the fuck? Our blood's changing. But we all are part, or had been part of a karmic system. And before you can die and be part of the shaman's death and recreate yourself over again, you have to get rid of your debt. So essentially, when you go into those sites, you're thanking your ancestors and clearing that debt so you can move on to a new world of your own creation without any baggage from the old one with yourself. Closing that portal.
So it's a debt portal.
Yeah, kind of. It's just you're thanking your ancestors.
Yeah.
Because you can't move forward until that resolution comes about, because we're moving into a new world with none of that part of it. And we can't bring that junk.
Yes, I get that. And I remember him saying to me once to go to my ancestral DNA lineage places to give them resolution. So that fits very well in with what you've just said. Thanks. Thanks, Shawn.
Yeah, there's so much. It's like, even me, it's like, holy fuck, I got an infinite amount of people and teachers to thank. It's quite unfathomable sometimes. Just, to move on to something so amazing and great, like, there's a lot of predecessors that came before us that paved a lot of ground and provided the teachings for us to be right here.
Totally. And that's the ancestors, isn't it? And without their light being here and walking the earth, we wouldn't be where we are, which is really why all our work is ancestral in some ways, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like our whole experience, our whole existence is.
Yes, we are our ancestors anyway. So yeah, fabulous. Thanks, Shawn. Thank you.
Maybe I can add something on this one to the portal question. Shawn, you've really touched the memory side of it, the 80%, right, in particular. And then we mustn't forget, or we must remember the 20%, and obviously it's not a clear cut 80-20, but the frequency, the vibration, and the harmonics that have an impact on the various DNA skin suits, in terms of what their specific gifts are. So not necessarily everyone would be a portal from a different perspective. If you look at it more from a portal perspective and less from a changing of the memory perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's like linguistics is such a crazy matter in our world. Like, how to this set? Like it just, it's just like just trying to like understand the experience with feelings instead of like the words, because like I'm sure there's more than like there's so many ways to use the word portal in different
Yeah, there's so many ways. Yeah, so maybe I was looking at a slightly different kind of model.
If you're going to teach something to somebody who doesn't know anything about it, the only way to talk about it is to make a bridge between how they can understand and perceive the subject matter. So if a person only knows the word portal, you're going to use the word portal. They only know the word elevator, you're going to use the word elevator. And like just a personal story with like someone from my family just recently happened, but they had this huge epiphany, and like it was super drug infused, where they got talked to by the whole archangel thing happening, and like a lot of religion came in. But it doesn't matter what it is, because if the person doesn't have a way to relate it to themselves, then it can't possibly stick.
Yeah. Very cool.
Can I?
Yeah, go for it, Robin.
There's a couple of different things I want to, hi everybody. A couple of things I'm kind of wanting to throw in there. First, Shawn, it was a great presentation. I loved how you pulled the different ways that we could be aware of it and lead us back to that. That's us in this skin suit vehicle. Great job. Talking about portals, one of the things that I kind of got a flash on is that perhaps we can be a portal. Perhaps we can be a person who carries keys or codes or frequencies, so that when we go to certain things, we can resonate with that and maybe triangulate with something else and create an opening or renew it, you know, kind of being part of a system, a portal system. It kind of now reminds me of the pillars of light, lighting up through like the pyramids and certain spaces on Earth that are charged with light, you know, and we're made as a grid to support. And that when we can even act as that light beam, like when we were doing the music the other week and you were being the light beam coming down in you, you're kind of like being that portal that can connect to any frequency that's in that band wave, you know, of the cosmic spectrum. So you could be a key, you could carry a code, so you could walk into something and it could trigger into something in you and it opens up right then and there that's not active at other times. There's a lot of ways that you could be part of being a portal, you know, without having to carry the responsibility of being a portal 24/7. The other thing that I kind of wanted to throw in there was that when we were talking about the ancestors, what I am encouraged to say is that when we think about them, instead of thinking about them as them, we have to think about it as us, our lineage, our snake that we decided to pop in and out of. And so it's kind of tending to our garden, you know. And so it's not just the ancestors, somebody out there, it's part of our being that has popped in at different times in those two. So anyway, that was my contribution that I wanted to kind of throw out there. Thanks for everything.
Heck yeah. Like, I'm seeing that as like the, you know, just the us, like the I am experience moving into the collective experience. And it's like, we're there and we're not there at the same time.
Yeah, a lot of what you were saying about that has been happening. It was funny, I was spending all day yesterday and most of today going through and listing and thanking all those teachers who have crossed just this awareness and this 3D. And, you know, I was like listing people one after another continually, and I'd take a break and do something, then I'd pop back into it. And, you know, and I knew I was nowhere near mentioning all the people who had come and given me some kind of a gift or helped me along the way. So there's a lot of synchronicity happening. A lot of people are opening up to things. So the timing of you coming on now with this group of people, I was kind of surprised about, but it's like my second thought was, of course,
I'm not surprised anymore.
No, it took about 2 seconds, and it's like, no, it's the perfect next step. You know, it makes sense. You're presenting things that not everybody is going to be open to, but more importantly, you're putting that vibration out there. So if somebody can tap into one section of that or many sections of that and bring themselves back into a fuller awareness, that they're driving their vehicle. Yeah, brah, brah.
And so with your first bit too, I haven't fully digested this subject matter, but I know
Right.
enough to say that we can be infinite portals to anywhere, and
Right.
we can go to the known, we can go to the unknown, and we can go to the unknowable, which is
Yes.
the unknowable is described as the shit we can't do anything about. So
Right.
just speaking those
Good.
portals, the shit you can't do anything about.
Right. And a lot of that has to do with what Andrew says, which is to stay in the sacred neutral when you're experiencing it or doing it, you know, pull yourself back in your own sacred neutral. And so you can have those and be okay with having it happen in whatever way you're experiencing it. That's cool. That allows us all to grow then. It's kind of like that 100 monkey syndrome. The more of us that do it, the more of us that understand and pop into it more easily.
Yeah. Like flower.
You think the dream world is all the worlds at the same time? That's a question, I think, from Petruska. I'm just reading the question. Otherwise, you just, you know, any questions, just address them to Shawn and carry on. But Petruska is saying, do you think the dream world is all the worlds at the same time?
Well, I think the dream world is our dream, and it's our unique perspective. And just like our memories, everything can be part of our dream, and just a larger aware dream. So I think it was a yes to your question.
Yeah, look, we don't need to put Shawn on the spot here. We can all chip in
everyone
with
just
those
jump in
questions.
on
Well,
that.
I have a view that, especially from doing the hub, you know, and it came, the view now that I have is due to the collective here. And that is that dream world is that toroidal field of life force that's, who knows what the size of it is or what it encompasses, but anything that we can dream and manifest is already there, because, you know, we're there to experience everything until there's nothing left to experience. So whether we're aware that it's there or not, it's there for the possibility if we get to that, you know, that point. So I really think that that dream time is, if you think about beads, Martina, you love to wear beaded jewelry. And then, so if we can think about one of the beads off from your necklace, you know that the bead has a place that's a hole in the center, right? A column. And the bead comes out and it kind of bulges around. Well, in a toroidal field, you know, you have it, the energy going down and coming up, right? And so it's kind of like the field of the body. It's kind of like the field of the earth. When the winds or the heat go on it, it takes a toroidal force, you know. The waters, back when they used to show the polar satellites, you could see the water going inside, you know, showing that toroidal shape. So I think the dream world is this fabric of consciousness that's the unlimited possibilities of our ancient future now, anything and everything, you know.
So what I would like to add to this one, think of the dreaming body as an integral part of our, very specific to our DNA skin suits, basically. So there's a huge connection there. So you could almost liken it to the access that we have as a physical, as an I am, you know, that links us to certain dreamtime societies. So is the dream world at the same time? It's part of the oneness that is accessible, but at the same time, we will only access, you know, the parts of the dream world that we have connections to, soul codes, you know, same sort of thing, you know. And then of course you got all these different dreamtime societies that we are connecting with. And again, we're not all connecting to the same societies, you know. We all have our preferences, you know, and things like that. So it's available, everything is available to all of us. And then through our specific DNA skin suit, that's what we're talking about, which is part of, or the dreaming body being part of that, we are accessing, specific parts of it. That's the way I see it.
As you were talking, do you remember, are any of you old enough to know the disco era? Yeah, well, okay. Well, the disco era, they had the big ball that had the different flats and the lights, the disco ball, right?
Mm-hmm,
so
yeah.
as you were talking about it, they were showing me the disco ball, reminding me that you're this multifaceted. So every one of those flat surfaces is you shining off in another direction. And you're choosing which one of those I ams that you're, working from.
The level of awareness will allow you the access. It all comes down to that. And for me, there's no difference. I mean, there's, from a, in the dream world, you stepping into that singularity. So the awareness gets bigger. You have more opportunities there to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions I have a question, Shawn, and I'm particularly interested now because you're obviously wanting to become, or you're becoming a doctor of TCM, right? TCM?
Sure
TCM.
am. Traditional Chinese medicine.
So how does all of that link up with what you're learning in your studies now with the Chinese medicine? So you've mentioned you started talking about the motor transport, which is basically the physical body. Now, how does the Chinese medicine connect to the physicality?
Okay. There's so many ways to answer this question, because it carries like, just imagine having two medical systems that both work, but they have completely different perspectives on how to do everything. And just the way that it's kind of shaped me in my life is just to think more about senses and what senses and emotions do physically to our bodies. So like in Chinese medicine, each of our internal organs controls a specific emotion that's interpreted by your heart. So certain emotions and certain tastes will each affect a certain organ of your body, and they're all interpreted by the heart. So no matter what, it affects the heart. And yep.
So Chinese medicine as such works with the study of the organs connected to the emotions, right?
Yep, that's the beginning point.
And
then
the pathways connecting them, that the pathway is very important.
Yeah, all the meridian point. That's the other study that comes in when we talk about the motor transport, right? So
yep.
You talk about the nadis and all that. That's what you got to learn as well, right?
Well, sure. Like, and I'm having my own personal discoveries, like trying to explain how the channels and meridians can work through a biomedical sense. Like most of the channels in the meridians run along muscles, like not like muscle connection points. So like kind of like how you can see like the grid system, like if you remember like the Hartman grid or the Curry grid, or how like when there's a fissure in the earth, electricity rises up in between them. It's just like on our fucking body. There's these canyons of our muscles, and when they squish together, they create like a little electrical current between them. And certain places have spaces in them where pools of chi, energy, just get pocketed up. And like chi and energy is no more than experience. And so like through acupuncture and means, you can help move it along, or just cycle it or get it back to where it's supposed to be circulating to. And I know like this whole Chinese medicine thing is equally, if not more dumbfounding than the presentation that I just did. Because like it's taken just hours of schooling just to learn the littlest different perspectives. But one of the coolest parts is herbs. Like the way that they perceive herbs is like a beautiful example of microcosms and macrocosms of the world. Like just through this medical system, they figured out how every single herb and taste can affect your body. Like sour compresses things, so it can stop your essence from getting out. Like light things literally go up in your body. Heavy things tend to go down. Like when it's like a flower, it usually goes out to your extremities, and roots will generally go inwards. It's just amazing how literally if you use the arm of a plant, it'll probably go to your arm. Isn't that nuts? Like it's pretty wild. And just the flavors too, like there's hot and cold and everything. Every herb is divided into hot and cold. Does it go to the exterior? Does it go into the interior? Like salty, if it's salty, it'll penetrate the blood. If it's, or aromatic, so aromatic things do this. They permeate things. So aromatic things have a function of going through the layers of your body. So if you have something inside of you that you want out, the aromatic herbs push it out. And bitter things consolidate and drain. So it's like holy, like.
Say this again. The bitter things consolidate, dream.
You know, they like a bitter consolidates and it drains.
I have a question. If you could recommend, because this was suggested to me about 3 months ago, but I said, who can direct me in the right direction? You're obviously the person. Could you suggest to me the level of that you're speaking of, using that energy, the dispersal of the chi, the muscles, could you recommend a book or two that I could get and use personally? Because what you're speaking of now fits in with everything else that I have, and it fits those holes that I kind of was like told by AB to go to.
So you know what? I want to write that book. I haven't really found that book. All the books that I've been reading are big. They're just all like, they're not like a pickup playbook kind of thing. They're all like manuals.
Well, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, I've got lots of healing modalities. I've been in medicine for a long time. It all comes.
There you go. Then you got the infrastructure.
I just want a couple of names of books that you are familiar with, that you are, say, oh, this is an okay book. Okay, I mean, I could choose my own, but
here's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to drop my email in the chat, and if you or anybody has questions, I will answer them when I read them.
All right.
And so, and just remember, I'm not a doctor.
Oh, no.
No, for sure. But like, it's pretty amazing.
You have a lot of valuable information for someone who's been working, when I was in junior high school and you had to write reports, I was doing reports on cleft palates and autism, when I got to the high school, I went to the vocational center and I became a nursing assistant and worked side by side doing wound treatments. My path has been steeped in this. I'm like 67, so it's been steeped in this my whole life. So you are just a person who has experienced these books and can say, I've read these titles. Here you go.
The coolest part about Chinese medicine is like it really overlays the like infinite point of view over the medical system.
Absolutely.
Because like, especially with herbs, every single person can have a different condition and get different herbs.
Right.
It's like all the herbs are prescribed specifically for that person's particular condition.
They're saying right now, I'm sorry, they're saying right now that the Chinese perspective on this allows a multi-layer sensory perception to diagnose and to know what to do and to help bring back balance. So
the cool part is they overlap with each other. Like as soon as you start comparing the medical systems, like Chinese more the holistic part, and the Western medicine is more the dualistic, like where it pulls everything apart with a microscope, like Sherlock Holmes investigating it. But they're intrinsical. They're like one's discovering bits and pieces, and you put them together, and it creates a bigger whole.
It's kind of like a whole that is taken apart, and now it's going back together again. So hopefully we can all have more of those parts and think more wholly
Sounds good
than
to me.
just one way or the other.
So that herbs, this is basically what you were talking about. You know, you were talking about when you back to the car, you know, the fuel, you know, what do you put into the car? That's part of the herbs, you know, when it comes to Chinese medicine. What else is there that they recommend? Do they give, do you learn about nutritional advice or something? Or what else is very much like TCM?
Like I'll do my best to like just put in small snippets here, because it's just like when you look at a person, like right away, like you try to diagnose a person, you're gonna just try to see if you're gonna use yin and yang. You're basically gonna like categorize everything either this or that, and everything is categorized in yin and yang.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Everything is subdivided, like anything you can think of, it's either yin or it's yang. And you
So male or female, right? That type of stuff, or how?
in essence, like light
Positive.
is yang, darkness is yin,
Then out.
loudness is yang, quietness is yin,
Okay.
hot yang, cold yin. And so you want to figure out where the imbalances are, and each organ has specific traits. Like first thing you want to do with someone is, are they excessively hot or are they excessively cold? And each organ like has a specific spot where it goes to in the body. Like the livers, especially, and they each go into like different parts of the hologram. Like it can go into just hand or just the head or just like the arm or the leg or the whole body. It's like, it's so infinite. It's crazy to talk about.
Well, I like to link it back, because that's very much, again, linking it back to the grid system you were talking about in your presentation, isn't it? The different holograms and things like that, the different grids. So there's a huge link with the presentation and what you're studying at the moment.
Well, yeah, huge. Like just seeing the body as a hologram, just seeing how like things are way simpler than you think they would do. Like just way simpler. Like things are so simple. Like if things like in Chinese medicine, if a fruit or like a medicine is red, it's more than likely going to go to your blood. Like as simple as that. And like green pertains to the liver, and it's like green things will affect the liver, yellow things will affect the spleen. And like they have a system that what are these things functions are. And most of the time it's bang on. And if not, you just check all the yeses and nos and which one is more leaning towards. It generally works all the time.
Okay, well, we have Dr. Shawn Bibby, please. We have a frozen shoulder.
They'll throw me in the slammer yet.
Frozen shoulder. Can we please have anything about that?
Shawn, is that sort of in line with the shape of the food is what you eat it for? Like walnuts, isn't it, for the brain?
Like
things like that?
Absolutely. Like that's the kind of thinking that they based everything off. So I'll give you an example. And like when I first saw this one, I was like, just wanted like a mini epiphany for me for herbs. So there's a famous Chinese herb called Da Huang. And Da Huang in English is known as Epidra. And it's kind of got a mixed world in North America right now, because Epidra or Ma Huang makes people sweat. And like sweating is an intrinsical part of healing in Chinese medicine. So Da Huang, the Epidra plant, it grows in an arid, dry environment. Okay? So the stems, like the upper part of the Da Huang plant, the Epidra plant, it's in an arid, dry environment. So in Chinese medicine, sweating opens up your pores. So when you sweat in Chinese medicine, it opens up portals between the outside and the inside. So if there's moisture in the air in that desert, it's going to be completely open to them. But that same plant, the top part of the plant will open your pores, and that's its function. But the bottom of the same plant that's in dirt, like dry, arid dirt that has like no moisture in it, has astringent qualities. like the complete opposite of it, because it doesn't want any of the moisture to leak out into, like that plant gathers moisture out of the air and it doesn't want to lose any of the roots. So the top part of it, it opens up the exterior, we call it in Chinese medicine. And the bottom part astringes. And it does exactly what you think the plant would do to survive. I know that's like,
It's incredible.
it
It's
is incredible.
brilliant, isn't it? I mean, it's just absolutely brilliant.
Yeah,
It's
like
like-
it thinks, like
it's
if
like
a plant grows near a marsh.
I'm sorry. I was going to say it's like studying through some college classes or university classes, really, having a guest speaker coming in. It's marvelous. Thank you.
But it's so simple. Like if something grows along a marsh or grows in water, it's, well, one, it's generally cold in nature because water has its yin, and then it's generally will do something, depends where it is, but whatever characteristic it has in the world, it almost generally does the same thing inside of your body. And that's where you got to think about the aromatic things too. Like they literally push things, like just imagine, whatever, I shouldn't do it, but if you got a stinky fart or you got a bad intestinal system, it's so smelly that it's literally permeating through your entire body. That's like what that does. So you would want to take something bitter and consolidating it, just something that would just purge that out. But that's what that's doing. The aromatic is literally, it's so pungent and aromatic that it spreads through the air and expands itself. Just like heat, yang, where heat makes things move faster, cold makes things move slower. Aromatic, when aromatic herbs heat up, they go, and when they're cold, they stay the same. But it goes on for everything. It's so simple, but complicated at the same time.
Taking it back to the presentation here, you mentioned non-judgment, right?
Yeah, I had to slip that in there.
And non-judgment falls into this one here because, you know, if you start judging anything, you're losing out on the possibilities and the contribution that everything like a plant like that is, right? You say, okay, well, this is just for this condition. And in reality, it has so many different, you know, nuances.
But if you combine them together,
Yeah.
and it's just like to get over mental blocks. Because
Mm.
let's say, like in Chinese medicine, the spleen is a vital organ. And the spleen controls the transportation and transformation of fluids. It keeps the blood inside of the vessels. And there's one more thing that I can't remember right now. But if you told someone that the spleen has anything to do with blood, they'd be like, no, it doesn't. The spleen, or like the liver does stuff about blood. The heart does stuff about blood. The
Yeah.
spleen's got nothing to do about blood. But like when you look at the functions and the plants that are associated with them, like the color yellow is associated with the spleen. And it's like the spleen is the biggest organ in the lymphatic system. It's like it's the biggest thing in the lymphatic system, which filters out your fluids. And in Chinese medicine, the spleen is all about fluid transportation and transformation. If you got edema, or if like if you have any sort of like swellings on your body whatsoever, 9 times out of 10, your spleen is going to be affected in Chinese medicine. And you can use spleen herbs to help that out, along with like all this other complicated shit that I got to learn.
I think the spleen is one of those organs, you know, we don't really learn a lot about. We don't really need, you know a lot about it unless you really have an issue. It's a bit like the appendix. Nobody really knows, you know, what the appendix, you know, the purpose of the appendix.
Right, but like if you just start talking Cantonese or Mandarin and started talking to a Chinese person about the spleen, it will just completely reverse what you thought before that. But it won't work if you have blockages against a different ideology, because they don't click. They don't click at all until you accept it and then back up a little bit. And then once you see the bigger picture, you're like, wow, they click amazing.
Yeah.
They click so well.
Fantastic. And you mentioned simplicity as well, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
which is nice because when you get to that level of connection, then everything becomes simpler. Now, Tanya is saying, what did you say helps the spleen? Did you mention a specific herb? Or?
Well, there's lots of herbs, but so the spleen's associated with the mouth. The spleen's associated with the color yellow. The taste, I'm forgetting the taste right now, but it's got, so it'll have a taste, a color. It'll have like an organ that like an orifice on the head.
Yeah.
It's it's spleen. What is turmeric?
Turmeric is a very, very yellowy, very
I know.
yellow.
Sorry, I know what turmeric is, but like I'm trying to think of it as the herb, because well, one, there's more than one kinds of turmeric, and they have different herbal functions. But turmeric is generally hot in nature, and it definitely, it definitely has like something on the spleen.
Yeah, you mentioned something. You said, I don't know, it sounded like flea herds. I don't know what you said. I missed it.
Ooh, I just sorry, darling, I'm not really sure.
Okay.
Let's just see.
Whilst you're looking, I just want to say something.
Yeah. And then I'll share with you guys what it says on turmeric, and you'll be like, what the fuck?
No, go for it.
No, I gotta find it, so you go take it away.
Find it. Yeah, say something to frozen shoulder. Yeah, frozen shoulder is quite an intriguing one. When you look at the bigger picture, you can look at the figure 8. Yeah, frozen shoulder, kidneys, and knees. That's where the figure 8 goes through. So anyone with frozen shoulder, look at kidneys, because it could come from there if there's something going on there in the kidneys. What are the knees doing? And most importantly, look at the intestinal tract. Very, very often with the frozen shoulder, there are issues in the intestines, with the digestive system, with the ICV, ileocecal valve. Check on that. The ileocecal is between the small intestine and the large intestine. When you push in there and you've got a stabbing action going on, then the ICV is leaking, and that very often, yeah, spot on. Okay, so that can cause the frozen shoulder. Stay away from statins if you can. It's just going to make it worse.
Did you say it was connected to the knee also, Martina?
That can be knee connection through the figure of 8.
Interesting.
Did you find it, turmeric?
Just about there. I've been compiling my own herb list.
Isn't turmeric curcumin? No.
Is it cumin? No, cumin's got another.
No, not cumin, curcuma. No, it's not.
I'm not sure what it is.
I don't know.
May I say something?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
The turmeric is a yellow root herb that I think also the leaf, what Shawn was talking about there, you could have been talking about the leaf versus the root, Shawn?
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the turmeric, the root is more efficient and potent, I believe, than the leaf would be to facilitate your body and to work better. And if you add, if you take turmeric, you should put perhaps black pepper, mix it with black pepper, then it becomes more efficient, 1,000 times more so efficient for the body.
How about with paprika?
I'm not very familiar, but.
Well, the black pepper has something in it that's, I can't remember the name. I think it's curcumin or something like that. Does anybody know how you pronounce that word that's in the black pepper?
Shawn wrote
and
it
that
down.
works with
Curcumin,
the turmeric. That enhances the turmeric to work better on the body.
Lana, are you familiar with it maybe in combination with paprika?
No, well, paprika is basically a pepper, isn't it?
That, I just really started using it. My mom used it only on potato salad, but I've been watching some recipes, so I've been trying it, cooking with it. And I was trying to decide, and I think you're probably right. It comes across maybe a little more as a peppery type of thing.
I think it came from a pepper. And it's turned
Spice.
into a powder.
Yeah, you
Got
are
it.
paprika.
quite spicy, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
You can both
Thank
put it in an omelette.
Yes. Ooh,
Yeah. You could use it to flavor a lot of things, the paprika, but
It's a staple in Cajun cooking as
Ah,
well.
Yeah.
I got it, guys.
In Austrian cooking into goulash and, you know,
yeah,
all
I
the,
was
Yeah.
yeah.
So
that Northern European Black Sea area. Yeah. I love good
But-
food.
but the question to Shawn was, since turmeric is a yellow color spice, and you were talking about the spleen and the yellow color, so the question was about, would that work?
So, and just before I interject this,
Mhm.
every herb is individual for the person because you got to put their complete syndrome differentiation in. Are they hot or cold? Which organs are affected? Which time of the day? Each organ has its own time of the day that it becomes active. So just for fun, so here's like how Chinese herbs would be described through like a TCM perspective. So Qinhuang is turmeric rhizome, known as kind of like ginger yellow. The nature and flavor of turmeric is pungent, it's bitter, and it's warm. And the meridians that it affects are the liver and spleen meridians. It invigorates the blood and unblocks menstruation. And remember, it's doing this mainly because it's very hot. Turmeric is hot in nature. And what does hot things do? They make things move faster. So when blood moves faster, typically, a lot of times people have menstruation issues because they're cold. And the heat can warm the blood up and move it along. Turmeric expels wind and promotes the movement of blood. The illustrated classic of the Materia Medica notes that turmeric treats chi distension and defecated blood attacking the heart following putrefaction. Meaning retification of meaning of Materia Medica. In this way, it not only enters the blood level to invigorate the blood and dispel stasis, but it also enters the chi level to disperse stagnant chi and drive it downward. These actions make it a valuable herb for gynecological disorders and painful swellings due to trauma. And it's like a whole nother, because there's different layers of the body, and it's just a whole nother realm.
So turmeric is also, I believe, good for healing inflammation in the body. But also you were saying that it's hot, or did you say heat or hot?
It's hot. And so
Okay. So turmeric basically, when you're saying hot, it's not spicy hot. It's probably the frequency of the herb itself.
But also, yes, but like spicy herbs generally are hot at the same time.
Yeah, it's a different kind of hot. It's not a spicy hot, the turmeric.
Well, there's different things, and this is a common misconception that just blew me away until about a year ago. That I used to try, whenever I thought something was healthy, I would always just take a billion of it. And that's so foolish. Like to just take something like garlic. Well, there was a time in my life where I was like, garlic is so good for you, and I ate so much garlic. Well, like garlic is so hot in nature that if you already have a hot condition, it's gonna just slap you against the wall and make you so like it's gonna destroy your yin inside your body and just wreck that balance. And then yeah, there's so much.
Everything in moderation. Lots of
That's right.
variety. It's a bit like, it's the same like with our with all the modalities and the meditations, you know, using different meditations, using different things, different herbs, different treatments and all of that. Yeah, very cool.
Well, as you're saying, Martina, it's you have to use everything in balance, neutrality, and it also, you take it on a regular basis, a little bit each day, something different, so you keep your body in balance. So yeah.
And the trick and the hard part is knowing what that balance even is. and then
So,
be specifically in tuned to what
so
that is.
do you in TCM, do you do testing, kinesiology testing? You got a
Like,
little test for us, you know, which we can use? How to test certain herbs, if they work for us or not, or anything really?
Herbs is tough because it's probably one of the most complicated things. It's like takes a very, very long time to learn intrinsically, because then it goes into formulas. It starts with individual herbs to figure out, and then you have to figure out how to put them together, but then you have to figure out who they're even for. So you would give someone a syndrome differentiation, like, because you would ask them a bunch of questions about themselves and see which organs are strong, which organs are failing, overpowered. Like generally, as people get older, they have a chi malnutrition. Like generally, their kidneys is the primal essence is attached.
Life force, yeah.
Yes, the life force is attached to the kidneys. That's which borrowed from our parents, and our parents lend to us. And generally over time, it gets really withered because it's kind of like the quarterback, or like it's picking up the slack for everything. So if you overwork, your essence becomes very depleted. So it's a typical sign of like older people. But then you also have your lungs and your spleen, because like how it works is like you take air chi and food chi, and they combine and they help top up your essence. So like you're only born with so much of that essence you got from your parents, but from eating food and breathing, you can transform that into essence. And it's like, oh my God. So it's quite a new world, to say the least.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's so intrinsically linked all together. So it's going to be really interesting. I said to Shawn before, you know, maybe as he carries on studying that, at some stage we're going to get him in again. And we're going to really grill him and ask him all the TCM questions that we can, you know, and get some good ideas.
I'm keen, like, yeah, because I got another. There's two parts of the program. Registered accountant will take 2 years. Accountant. That's a.
I was thinking, what the fuck is that?
That was like when I wanted to be an accountant.
Oh, right.
A decade ago. No, a decade and a half ago. But yeah, 2 years for a registered acupuncturist, and that'll take another year pretty much. And then hopefully that time I'll have enough.
Yeah, we bring you back in. Yeah, I find it fascinating. It's one of those things I never got into, because it is just so much to take on, you know. But from a I think from a oneness perspective, you know, from a bigger picture, it'd be great.
Sure, like just go see a registered TSM person.
Yeah.
Go pay them $100 for an hour, and they'll just keep telling you shit that you never heard before.
Yeah. It's like who was saying that the tongue in itself is Nicola, yeah. Just the diagnosis you can make based on just looking at someone's tongue is just fascinating.
Tongue impulse, intricate. To like good physicians, they can look at someone's tongue and read their pulse right here.
Yeah,
they can give you your syndrome differentiation and tell you what herbs to take.
Yeah.
It's like, because the tongue, as we know, and like here's where all the lessons overlay with each other. The fetus from the heart grows into the tongue. So the tongue is directly connected to the heart. The heart feels all the emotions. The tongue is what your heart looks like. So I'm like, I'm going to do it. So we look at someone's tongue. And like,
Very white.
Good observation.
Coated, lots of coating. Right edges.
And it's a bit swollen right now. So you can see that like there's a little bit of edema in the body. And it's like, yeah, good doctor, they'll look at your tongue and they'll read your pulse and they'll know what's wrong.
Can tell you everything, yeah.
Just like talking to Andrew, he just doesn't have to do any of that. And you'll be like,
the thing one can do, just a very simple thing, you can use a pendulum if you want to test something out, isn't it? A pendulum. or you can do a little kinesiology testing. I think we've said that before. If you want to test some food or some herbs or anything, you can do the standing up and just say to the body, give me a yes. So make the body into a pendulum. Say, body, give me a yes, and the body will start swaying in a certain direction, either left, right, front. And then you test the no, and then you can actually play with that. Just ask the body, or I use this quite a bit. Give me a yes. For me, I can't push the fingers apart, and give me a no. It's like that. So, lots of little, tools we can use.
That's exactly right, Shawn. Except for it'll only show up if you have extra moisture in your body.
Tip of tongue, press up against front teeth.
Stay moist, but not too moist, or you'll start to rot.
And the other thing, of course, because you mentioned the
light on fire.
the life force that gets depleted, that can be brought back, rejuvenated through breathing.
Keep topping up. Yeah, breathing and eating.
Proper breathing exercise, Kundalini in particular.
And moving the energies, the chi blacks.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely, because like your blood follows the chi. So we're like in the theory, wherever your chi goes, your blood follows. And chi can transform into blood, and blood can transform into chi. And then blood can also transform into the fluids. So it's something else.
it all goes together, all that grid stuff.
I know, then you start imagining a grid. It's like wherever your energy body goes, your blood goes. So if you can imagine your energy body in your mind, you'll create that chi network. And then naturally, your spiritual contracts in your blood will start following your chi network. And there you go. You've already made a physical change within yourself. Just like that.
Like giving yourself permission on a higher level that you're not totally aware of. And so you can function out on a higher level.
Well, sure, but the coolest part about this is that it's 5,000 years old and that it's built into all the reality rules. So it's like, it's just waiting there to look at. It's not like outlandish. It's pretty well accepted now, like throughout the world. Probably.
Does anyone have any more questions on the presentation itself that Shawn has given us?
I have a question. Just talking about this system being 5,000 years old, just gonna, I don't know, play the devil's advocate for a second. Do you feel like it's changing now that our bodies are changing and we're moving into this higher frequency energy?
Well, it's like, it's great. Yeah. The best part about it is it's changing. Because it's just like people are adapting new ideas and like they're merging East and West. Like there's people who got degrees in biomedicine, but they also had degrees in this medicine. And anyone with their peanuts together are going to take the sum of all their knowledge and combine it together and make something even better. So health, yeah, absolutely. Now there's an app for it. Yeah, that's the beauty of it. Just keeps getting better and better and taking all the colors and bits and pieces and recreating itself.
Well, also, as you said, energy cannot be destroyed, but it can be transformed. And as we're going through those transformations, the systems, the modalities will transform just like our bodies.
Yeah, hell yeah. Like let go of the old, herald in the new.
Everything
from mistakes.
will be out-created, yeah. How do you guys do with the current energies, with all the solar flares and with all the, super moons and eclipses and all of that?
A lot of things been going on, a lot of things, a lot of surprises going on. So
like
seeing stores that don't have the sign on the window that says that you have to wear a mask, you know? So, wow, changes.
Yeah. We got tired. Yeah, tired. Me too, tired. Been smashing concrete, so not sure that's connected, probably. But also, yeah, you see, the thing is, actually, I agree. There is an element of wanting to be really active. And then the next moment is like, you know, so it's going through those phases of, you know, complete activation. And then the next day, not doing anything today. But also, you get clarity. I have like almost like a bit like, you know, we're talking about TCM and all the connections. There's certain things like falling into place, like synchronicities that I probably wouldn't have looked at before, all of a sudden become real synchronicities. Think, oh shit, that's connected to that, and that's connected to that.
Loads of synchronicities for me. Yeah, good ones too. Really great. Yeah.
Tiring, hard, yeah, lots of challenges, but lots of synchronicities. Surprisingly from different places and different ways too. So it's kind of fun.
And people fading out of your life. Maybe that's just mine, but you know, separation of densities, just people who aren't meant to be with you on the journey, just sort of fading away. And maybe new people coming in too. That's what I found.
Well, wouldn't that be great? I mean, that's the lovely thing about new beginnings, isn't it? That's what Eclipse is apparently all about. I've started reading up a little bit on all those little reports. What is an eclipse and what it's supposed to be, and then just pick and choose whatever works for me. But I love those transformations, those new beginnings, and everything is exciting, and I can feel that there's a sense, and at the same time, there's a sense of freedom.
Yeah, well, blood moon is fertility, isn't it, as well? That's what the blood moon is. It's fertility, new birth, and so on, isn't it? So, yeah, it certainly feels like that for me.
Yeah, I've been getting that too, is that there's the reality of what can be seems to be different here, you know. It really feels as if things are changing and how they're being presented.
And I think those who aren't, sorry, Robin, to cut across.
Good.
Those who aren't allowing of it are getting, those who are resistant of it are struggling more than those who just allow that it's an infinite universe and allow yourself to co-create with it. And you see the difference. Go on.
I was going to say, or those who are resisting are just being shown back as a reflection, a magnitude picture of what it is to resist, you know, so they're, you know, because, you know, I've resisted in things my whole life, you know, not one thing, but at times different things. And I really see that those right now that seem to be treading water or going backwards seem to be resisting something vehemently. And it seems as that the more you resist whatever it is, you're going to get more of that rabbit wheel to keep you experiencing it. And so what I find is that those things are less, I mean, I see them and I go, and more do I say, okay, that's what they still need to experience and let them go. So I'm right now being able to put less and less thought, emotional energy into those things. And feels good because I don't feel like I'm supporting that domination anymore, even if it's a mind thing.
Disentanglement, fantastic.
Yeah, exactly, Martina.
And those who are ready to step up more and do the great work, that's very much all I'm feeling, much more about soul purpose. And, you know, we're masters, we've come this far, you know, we're here as whatever you want to call yourself, whether it's a, you know, rainbow warrior or whatever it is you feel you're here to do. I think now's the time to really, to go on and choose that.
Yeah. That message has been giving louder and louder and louder the last couple of years for me. And it seems like now, instead of, it's like every couple of weeks, every month, the message gets a little bit, more.
Feels like a launching pad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something big around the corner. I feel that, but I don't necessarily need to know just yet. So I'm just gonna relax into it.
You're not attached to the outcome.
Not attached to the outcome. Just
Hallelujah.
enjoying my sense of freedom. Now, are there any more questions we've been going for 90 minutes and longer. Are there any more questions for Shawn?
I have a question.
Please.
Something that Robin said, and I'm not sure, my internet was going in and out, but Shawn, you were talking about the grid system. I made a little note. The roads, the highways, the waterways, and you said think about all the vehicles add their color, their thoughts, and their intentions. And then you said something about the spaces that you're leaving if you become a hermit, something about a hermit and the spaces that you leave. Can you go into detail about what that is? Because I find myself wanting to go into that hermit stage, and I do, but then I always have to kind of bring myself out of it because I know that I can get caught up in it. So I don't know if you had any other things about that.
Okay, I threw that in just because I've been there. I've been full hermit mode for a while, and like pulling out of it, and it's a completely unique experience, especially if someone's been overwhelmed by feeling everything or being entangled in everything. So like it can be a super beneficial experience, but you're losing out. Like, this is where things get complicated, and it's up to interpretation by us because everything's everywhere. But it's hard to not argue that closer to these grids, the power is stronger and has a bigger gravity. And when we detach ourselves from them, we lose out on all the creativity and the essence that is so close and nearby to that system. So it's like a give and take. It's like being closer to the pulse of the change. Like if you're in a kind of like that's a fucking pretty big analogy to do this, but kind of like how we're switching off, like this whole awakening, we're switching off from a local network and switching on to the universal internet. It's kind of like you put yourself in your own local network, and it might be a little bit intense and too hard to handle for you to take that giant firmware update after being a hermit for so long. You just want to play that old game over and over and over again because you can't deal anymore with anything new. But it's just part of like,
How was your transition then, coming out, being off the grid and then coming back in? Was it hard on your body? It
was hard on everything. I had to relearn the whole world like a baby. Like, how to talk to people, like just how to rebuild the social skills again, how to not perceive everything through that giant point of view that not everyone had, because it can be a completely unique individual experience, and to try to expect someone to understand that innately is just insane. And so it was just big for me, just complicated, but rewarding in its own way. So there's like a time and a place and space for everything, right? And like when it feels good, keep doing it. If it's starting to feel bad, maybe stop doing that.
I think that's a great piece of advice. If it feels and if it feels that you want to do hermit, because we all do hermit different anyway, do it and allow yourself to drop into it really, really, really intensely. And you may find that you only need a couple of hours. You don't even need to go off grid. Yeah. It's often the resistance. Oh, I'm not supposed to be doing that. No, fucking do it. Do it what that means to you. Shut off your internet for a week, whatever that is. Maybe that's enough. You know what I mean? I mean, I do hermit continuously throughout the time. Yeah. Because for me, hermit, I don't have, you know, look at the energy. You're very good with energies, Amy, aren't you?
Yeah, micro hermit.
What does it
Yeah.
mean to you?
And
then-
I know, yeah. And I know that when I'm in the hermit, I know that I needed that for some reason.
Yeah.
And I always know when to come out of it. But I just thought that's kind of cool, because what was like happening when you said that, I'm like, oh my gosh, all the things that I missed out on, FOMO, you know, fear of missing out of everything. But really, it's really not. It's just funny. It's just funny how I go back to that. I just missed out on that, but not really.
It's like,
Yeah.
like Emma comes down yesterday. She says, I'm really depressed. I said, oh, okay. So how are you doing depression? Because I'm seriously interested how people do depression. You know, how are you doing it? Like, what do you mean? I'm depressed. Can't you see? I said, oh, okay, yeah, yeah. And I said, do me a favor, do it a bit more. Can you do it really, really? And go upstairs and
You
do
have depression, you all.
10 minutes and see, and then see if it makes a difference. Changed like this because she had the allowance of doing depression, whatever that means. I don't know. Just allow yourself to be and do whatever comes up, and it will just dissipate very quickly.
Yeah, we used to, with the 2 to 5 year olds, you know, I worked with them for 14 years. Every week we'd have like a 2-hour class. And one of the things that I was led to share with them, Martina, is like, you know, when you're a 2 or 3 or 4 year old and you're living with adults have emotions and they go off and they have these spells and they have cycles and they have depressions, you know. And so what I was trying to do is teach the kids empowerment. So, you know, and sometimes you would come into the circle and you'd have certain reactions to being there. So one of the things we used to do is we would try to identify what we were seeing the other person displaying, like, you know, and replicate it within ourselves. You know, like if they're really mad, try to make a really mad face. If they're sad, you know, and then
people watching.
What's that?
Some serious people watching.
Well, yeah, but if you're a child and this is the adult is coming to you, that's what your life is right then. You have to deal with them, right? There's no escaping it. You're in the room with this person. So then as soon as they did it and they could identify with it, they went, oh, and then it's like, now you just open the channel that if they're open to energy, that they can receive what they need. Give them empowerment, not that they have to do it, but they can assist. And, you know, it's empowering, and you're not victim then to someone else's meltdown, emotional hurricane.
And also, you know, Robin, you just said the word identity, and I think this is a big one. That's why, you know, if you say I am a hermit, that's like you defining your identity as being something.
Claiming it.
You claiming it, and then it becomes all wacky, and you're actually you're creating a limitation, because even if you choose to be a hermit, you're not just that. You're still Amy, you're still a mom, you're still a wife, you're still this and this and that. So you put yourself into that identity box. So when you change it, very simply saying, I'm doing hermit, different story, right? You're no longer, you know, identifying yourself. I'm just doing what a hermit is. So what is it like to do hermit? You know, and then it becomes a completely different choice.
I'm putting on a hermit skin suit.
Yeah.
I like that one. I like that.
Shawn, you had something there?
Oh, I said it's somewhat like sloth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sloth. That was my thing. Allow myself to be a sloth. Yeah. And do you know what, guys? Since I've done this show as well, I keep finding sloths. I don't know how many sloths I've got at home, because every time I have to get it. they keep coming. So that can only mean universe is saying slough it out, you know.
Or
Practice.
embrace it when it happens. You know, when you're in that sloth field, embrace it. Okay. Yeah. Oh.
Exactly. Fantastic. Any more questions before we're gonna thank Shawn for doing the presentation and gifting it to us and having this conversation and showing up, claiming his gift?
Yay.
Yay, thanks, Shawn.
Hey, thanks
Yeah.
for letting me present, guys.
Yeah, you
I
could do
appreciate
your
it.
own. You could do your own YouTube series, Shawn.
Like that.
Your graphics are brilliant,
Yeah.
and your delivery. Yeah, you ought to. Holographic universe.
I'll just hire someone.
Really good.
You just hire someone. Yeah, I'll be with that. Just hire someone.
Do it with all my doctor money.
Yeah. Dr. Shawn, Bibby, we thank you very much.
Thanks so much, guys.
He's
I
the
really
future, the future present now, right?
Yes, exactly. The ancient people.
Hello. Okay, guys. Well, thanks very much for being here this week again.
Bye.
And
Thank you.
we'll see you next week, and we'll see what sort of surprise we're going to have for the next discussions.
Cheerio.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.